Today I want to talk about the brand new cards from Murders at Karlov Manor that belong in your Commander deck. Hey everyone, my name is DJ, this is the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, and Murders at Karlov Manor is a super fun, brand new set, and here are 5 cards that you're going to want to include in your Commander decks. I want to start off in green with Archdruid's Charm. Archdruid's Charm is green for an instant. Choose one. Search your library for a creature or land card, reveal it, put it onto the battlefield tapped if it's a land card. Otherwise, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Another mode is put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. And the final mode is exile target artifact or enchantment. I love how there are 3 modes on this card, but really there's like 5. Because you either get a land or a creature, or exile an artifact or an enchantment. It's just so flexible. And the fact that it's instant speed means it's even more flexible. Granted, all of these modes are a little bit overcosted. Like if you're just getting a land on the battlefield for 3 green mana, that's not the rate I really want to pay. But if I need a ramp spell, this is great, and instant speed means it's even more flexible. I think the thing that puts this over the edge for me though, is that it exiles an artifact or enchantment, and I have been just looking for more cards to answer the One Ring. And anything that exiles is just going up in rating super high in my book. So this card is infinite flexibility for green, which can be an inflexible color. So this is one of my top picks for Murders at Karlov Manor. Next up is some card draw in red. Let's talk about Demand Answers. Demand Answers is 1 in a red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice an artifact, or discard a card. Draw 2 cards. So there are a ton of just incidental artifacts in red. I mean, you could just have a treasure token lying around that you want to sacrifice. In that case, this is kind of like 3 mana, draw 2 cards and instant speed. That's actually a pretty good rate in red. You don't always get that, even though it might not be impressive if this was a card printed in blue. But the flexibility, you don't always have to sacrifice, that clue or that treasure token. You can have a bunch of artifacts that you want to sacrifice, you want in the graveyard. And then you also can sort of filter your hand really nicely. Got a bunch of extra lands and no artifacts on the battlefield? Fine, bin one of them to filter through to something else. The filtering effect of cards like this is super important in Commander. It's going to make your game way better because at 2 mana, the ability to get rid of something you can't cast and dig deeper into lands, or in the late game, binning an extra land to get a little bit deeper into more action, means that you're more likely to be playing the game of Commander rather than struggling to balance the spells and lands. So play cards like Demand Answers. This is going to be a very good card for your Commander deck. If we're talking about smoothing out draws, I want to talk about these 2 white cards that just incidentally create clues. Novice Inspector. It's a 3-bit Inspector reprint with a different name. It's a single white mana for a 1/2 human detective. When Novice Inspector enters the battlefield, investigate. That's great. I think that we have underestimated the value of 3-bit Inspector, and it actually sees quite a bit of play in Commander. But if you're looking for something a little bit more flashy, a little bit more of an upgrade, let's talk about Wojek Inspector. Wojek Investigator is 2 and a white for a 2-floor flying vigilant angel detective. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate for each opponent who has more cards in hand than you. This could regularly be spitting out a bunch of different clues, and you can easily cash those in for cards. So this could be a really powerful card draw engine. But also just don't underestimate having a bunch of artifacts, just a bunch of clues, because we can use artifacts, we can weaponize them, we can manipulate them. Like there are strategies in there that can use those tokens to advantage. And if all you're doing is just drawing cards with them, then that's just great too. It's going to help smooth out your draws and get you to more action. These are 2 really solid white cards. Let's talk about a white card that I think is a little bit better though. It's Doorkeeper Thrall. Doorkeeper Thrall is 1 and a white for a 1/2 Thrall with flash, flying, and artifact and creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. Oh, it's a hate bear. And by the way, flashy hate bears are incredibly good. So this can shut down a lot of your opponent's shenanigans. Hate bears are best when they're the cheapest because you can get them down early before your opponents get all that value from their ETB creatures or artifacts. And Doorkeeper Thrall does that. And it's also super flexible, allowing you to flash it in when you could be holding something else up. I mean, it's gonna be one of the more impactful cards from the set, even though it might not be super flashy. Except for it does have flash. This is not super flashy. It's not like the Elishnorn before that was shutting stuff down. Like this is just a little 1/2, but trust me, this disruption goes a long way in Commander. And finally, I want to talk about ARs Rampage. ARs Rampage is 3 red for a sorcery, destroy all artifacts you don't control, then exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of artifacts that were put in the graveyard from the battlefield this turn. You can put a creature card exiled this way onto the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So just destroying every artifact that's not yours for 5 mana is fantastic. We know this because Vandal Blast is great. You know, we play this effect in Commander a lot. It's fantastic. Now we give up the flexibility of Vandal Blast for 2 different modes, but we gain a super fun effect of just digging deep randomly for some other cool card. If you're casting this on 5 in the average Commander game, you are going to be able to get some sort of creature. It might not be the biggest, best creature, it might not have infinite synergies, but odds are it's going to hit something, and then you're going to be able to get it back to your hand again. So it's almost like you've drawn a card. A little bit of a random card, a little bit of a janky strategy, but honestly, all that stuff is just bonus. All you care about is just destroying artifacts. So there are plenty more awesome cards from Murders at Karlov Manor. These are the cards that I've chosen right now that are going to belong in the majority of Commander decks. Hey, did you know that I'm a Magic the Gathering ambassador? Thank you, Wizards, so much. They've sponsored this video. And if you look down in the description, there's a link to all sorts of information about Murders at Karlov Manor. Check it out. It's a really fun set. I've been enjoying it immensely. And it certainly has some good cards for Commander. So thanks, Wizards, and thank you so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everyone.